Okay, I'm about to take you on a trip on a road, which I am going to call the road to financial freedom. Now, it's going to look like I put a lot into this video, but I really did not. I sort of threw these slides together, and I'm doing this without a script. And basically, my purpose for doing this is I am testing my ability to do this effectively, totally unscripted. So this is sort of an experiment. I have a reason for doing it because there's a few things that I'm working on that are very important, and they are going to be monetized quite a bit. But I'm going to use YouTube to test out a few concepts. So I figured that I would just throw the slides together and make this video totally unscripted. In other words, I don't have a script. I have no idea what I'm going to say moment to moment. Road to financial freedom. Proceed with caution. That's what we're going to be talking about. And if you're serious about this thing called financial freedom or success, or about improving yourself financially, then you might want to take some notes because I'm going to give you some gems on this video. I can promise you that. Road to financial freedom. Now, there are many paths that will take you to any destination. There are many ways you can get there, to any destination. I think we would all agree that in order to get any place, you have to have several things in place. For one thing, you kind of have to know where you're going, because if you're wandering aimlessly, you'll probably end up in a lot of places, but you might not even realize where you're at when you end up at these various places, because you never had a goal, you never had an objective, you never had a destination. You're just wandering through life aimlessly. You know, there's an old adage that says, wherever you are, there you are. Wherever you're at, there you are. Wherever you are at, there you are. Something like that. But anyway, there are many roads or paths that may take you to a destination. I'm going to show you one path. It's not the only path. It may not be the best path to you, but it is a path. It's a path that I've laid out that I believe it's simple. I believe it follows basic truths. It's a path that I'm very personally familiar with. And like I said, there are many variables for the path I'm going to show you. And you can map out your own destiny, your own life, your own path, however you want to. But the ultimate goal is to end up in this place called financial freedom. Financial freedom does exist. Financial freedom is when you don't have to worry about what other people do or don't do, because you are truly financially free. That means you have taken your destiny in your own hands. That means that you can pretty much do what you want, when you want to, wherever you want to, wherever you want to, and money is not going to be an obstacle in your path. That means that you are not dependent upon or beholden to other people for your financial solvency. Because if you are, that is not financial freedom. No matter how secure you may think you may think that you are on a job. If it is a job and you are an employee rather than an employer, then your amount of financial freedom is limited unless you have the wherewithal to create other situations and other scenarios in your life to where that job is absolutely an asset, but it is not your only asset or your only stream of income. Then you can actually be financially free even on a job. Okay? So one of the first things that I want to talk about, and before I even get into the slides, I want to say this before we get on this road. We're going to actually take this trip together. And I want you to think about this. One of the first things you want to do is create some type of an income, whatever it might be. It doesn't matter what the job is, or even really, to be honest with you, how much it pays. You need some type of income. It doesn't necessarily have to be a job. Whether it's Social Security, even unemployment for that matter, unemployment insurance, even though that is temporary. There are people, for whatever reason, maybe they're physically disabled and they're getting Social Security income, and they're going to get it for life because they are permanently disabled. Well, that is an income, and it doesn't matter what your source of income is. When you have an income, you can take the paths I'm going to show you towards financial freedom. And one of the first things I'm going to encourage you to do with whatever income you have, and if you don't have an income, obviously you need to get an income. Any job you can, even if it pays minimum wage. Live below your means. Get an income. You need money coming in, obviously, to take care of your needs, but we're talking about financial freedom. So that means you live below your means and you don't spend every dime that you get. One of the first things I want you to do with whatever income you have is focus on establishing excellent credit. Establish excellent credit. And most people have no idea how bad their credit is. Most people may feel that they have bad credit, but they don't really know how bad it is. So I would encourage you to get a free copy of your credit report. Now, there are a lot of different companies out there that offer free credit reports, and they're actually selling you something, etc. But there is a website. It's called annualcreditreport.com. That's the one I personally would recommend. Annualcreditreport.com. That will allow you to get a copy of your free credit report. And by the way, in the United States of America, by law, all the credit bureaus are required to provide you with a free copy of your credit report at minimum once per year. So if you have not obtained one in the last year, all you have to do is write them and tell them you want it. You'll find out what's on your credit report, and then you can begin to do whatever you need to do to establish excellent credit. But you need to know where you are. See, that's the thing. It's like the old adage about history that says, if you don't know where you have been, you will not know where you're going, and you also will not know where you are at. And it's the same with credit. You need to know what's on your credit report. Okay. There's also a website. It's called creditkarma.com, which I also would recommend. You can go to creditkarma.com. You can actually get a totally free credit score. And they are not going to ask for a credit card or anything like that. Okay. Once you get your credit report, you want to begin to, first of all, you want to find out what your credit score is. And regardless of what your credit score is, if there's negative, derogatory information on your credit report, you want to begin to improve your credit rating. And the best way to do that is to challenge the negative items and repair your credit. Okay? There are laws in the United States that require those who provide credit data on persons to prove that the negative derogatory credit information they have on you is accurate, or remove it. It's prove it or remove it. So that's basically credit repair in a nutshell. Every credit repair specialist or company, that's what they do. They challenge the credit bureaus, the primary major credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. There are actually quite a few more credit bureaus, but those are the main ones. Some people say there's 3. There's only 3. That's not true. There are many more than 3, but those are the major credit bureaus. Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. So you want to challenge your negative items that are on your credit report. That's basically credit repair. There are companies out there. One of them I'm very familiar with is Lexington Law. That's actually a law firm. That's what they do. They specialize in credit repair. There's actually quite a number of other persons that do the same thing, and they do it pretty good. They're pretty effective. You can actually go on YouTube and find people promoting their business, which is probably a good way to find someone that specializes in credit repair. Okay. One of the things you can do, if you cannot get the credit bureaus to remove derogatory negative credit from your credit report, is to negotiate with the creditors who insist on keeping your derogatory information on your credit report. And that is, you can do what's called negotiate a pay for deletions. In other words, you tell them, look, I have no motivation or incentive to pay you. I owe you money, fine. But why should I pay you if it's really not going to help my credit report that much? Because it's still going to be a negative item, a derogatory item that hurts my credit score on my credit report. I don't want you to change the status from unpaid to paid. It's still derogatory. I want you to remove it completely. In other words, delete it. Some of them will tell you they can't do it, but of course they can. They put it on there, they can take it off there. So you can negotiate pay for deletions. And oftentimes they'll figure that whatever you're willing or able to give them is better than nothing, and they'll take it. Oftentimes you can get negative items removed by paying a fraction of what you owe on those negative items. And there are those who specialize in that business as well. Okay. Use FCRA challenges. Prove it or remove it. That means the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The Fair Credit Reporting Act is the federal law that requires them to adhere to certain guidelines that are in your best interest, which require them to either prove that the data is legitimate or to remove it. And one of the primary methodologies that credit repair companies have used for years against the credit reporting bureaus is that, for the most part, the actual companies that reported the derogatory information are not very thorough in the information they have provided. So what the credit bureaus are forced to do by you when you challenge them under the FCRA, Fair Credit Reporting Act law, is you're forcing the credit bureaus to force the creditors who have put derogatory information on your credit report to prove it to the credit bureau or remove it. And oftentimes they just don't. They don't bother. They have, by law, they have 30 days to do it. If they haven't proved it or removed it, if they have not proved it within 30 days, the credit bureaus have to remove it. Bottom line is you want to shoot for a minimum of 750 to 800 FICO score. Okay, now a FICO score of even 700 is good. 720 is good. 725 is good. 740, 730. You want to get your credit score over 700. If it's 550, 500, that's not good at all. That's bad. If it's under 400, it sucks. That's terrible. But bottom line is, I'm going to encourage you to shoot for a 750 to 800 FICO score. You don't really need 800, but shoot for it anyway, and I'm about to show you some things you can do. Even if you have a minimum wage job, if you would just follow this step, establish excellent credit, shoot for a excellent credit score, and I'm going to begin to show you some things you can do to actually create financial freedom and build wealth. Okay, so there are several things you can do with your credit report. You can repair negative credit, you can build new, excellent, positive credit, or you can rebuild a credit report that has been damaged. Another thing you can do is you can create a brand new credit profile. That means a brand new credit profile that has nothing negative on it, but it also has nothing positive on it. So if you create a brand new credit profile, there are legal ways you can do that, then you have to begin to establish excellent credit and put some positive information on that brand new credit profile. Okay, I'm not going to get into all the steps and details of any of this. I'm just going to give you the guidelines. And by the way, I practice what I preach. The things I'm talking about, I know very intimately. I've been very much involved in everything I'm about to talk about and everything that I am showing you. Okay, that's why I'm doing this without a script. Okay, now business credit. Business credit is something I want you to think about also, and something I want you to work on. The first thing I want you to do is establish excellent personal credit, but then understand that in addition to excellent personal credit, you can establish excellent business credit. And then there's a thing called corporate credit. Business credit and corporate credit are not necessarily the same thing. When you have corporate credit, that means that you literally will establish a legal entity such as a corporation. LLC, corporation, you're going to basically establish that. It could be a nonprofit corporation, it could be a C corporation, it could be an S corporation. Bottom line is you're going to establish a corporation, which by law, the legal definition of a corporation is a legal person. So when you create a corporation, you have created a legal person. You are not that person, and that person is not you. So your name might be Bob Smith, but if you create Smith Incorporated or even Bob Smith Incorporated, then you're not Bob Smith Incorporated. You're just Bob Smith. Bob Smith Incorporated is a separate legal person, totally separate from you. It will have its own credit score. It will have its own life, its own history. Okay? And you and Bob Smith Incorporated, you as Bob Smith and Bob Smith Incorporated are not necessarily even joined together. It depends on how you set this up. And one of the strategies that is used in the corporate credit world is for you to be as far removed from the corporation you create as you can. You don't want to let your ego get in the way and walk around with a business card saying that you are the CEO of this corporation, because, see, that makes you a target. Anyway, let's move on. Like I said, this is not going to be an exhaustive discourse. I'm just going to show you a map, a roadmap to success. Create new credit. Okay, so when we talk about creating new credit, there are several things you can do, whether you're repairing existing credit, creating brand new credit, or even dealing with a totally brand new credit profile. One of the things I would encourage you to do is to get some secured credit cards that report to the major credit bureaus. You could go online, go on Google, and you can find those secured credit cards. Okay, some of them are. Let me tell you from my own experience. One of the things that I did, I actually started with the new credit profile at one point, and I basically had nothing on my credit profile. So first thing I did is I got a secured credit card that allowed me to open up a savings deposit account for $400. It was just $400, and that was the minimum, so that's what I used, $400. and my credit limit was exactly $400.